I think, like most little kids, I knew about the space program and I knew about astronauts, so I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great to be an astronaut, and maybe I'll be the first female astronaut and that kind of thing. Oh, I liked all kinds of things. I liked playing with my friends, I liked school, I liked to swim. I was on a swim team, and swim team got too intense and I didn't have enough time for my friends, so I had to scale back on the swim team. Yeah, it's very interesting to think about people who have been the first people ever to experience a new region or location. And we sort of had that opportunity by being a part of the Phoenix mission, even though we sent a robot there and not humans directly. But it's sort of the same. You see the camera images, which are your robotic eyes on the surface of Mars, and we see the images on the ground on Earth for the first time, but we feel as though we were standing there on the surface of Mars. Well, I think living on Mars time was a challenge because it's a different clock than the Earth clock, and it constantly rotated. So one day, on landing day, we started our day at about 4 in the afternoon and worked an 8 or 10 hour shift. Then the next day, we maybe started at 5 in the afternoon, and then a few days later we were starting at 8 or 9 in the evening. And then it kept rotating, so we were at 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, and rotating around the clock. And it was very challenging to keep that kind of a schedule and sleep during the day and come to work in the middle of the night when the rest of society around us is doing a normal Earth time day. We were planning to go to Mars. We were planning to go to the Mars North Polar region, and it's very complicated to send a spacecraft to Mars and to send all the instruments and make sure that they're going to work properly and make sure that we can understand the data that they send back. So the best thing to do is to test them out as well as you can on the Earth. And not only do we test them in our labs, but we also looked for locations on Earth that might be the best place on Earth that could give us a real life in the field testing capability. And it turns out that the Mars Antarctic has some places called the Antarctic dry valleys that are very, very similar to the Mars North Polar region. And so being able to send our instruments there and send a team of people there to collect samples and understand those data, we thought would be very, very important for understanding the Phoenix Mars data. But there are a lot of similarities. One of the main similarities that we could see the very first day that we landed safely on the surface was this terrain that we call polygonal terrain. They're polygons about the same size as the table that we're sitting at here, and they have troughs in between each of them. So there's these big circles with troughs all around them, and they're created by ice that freezes and thaws over time. And that characteristic was present on Mars where we landed and is also present in the Antarctic dry valleys. And so we know that there are some very strong similarities between the two regions. I personally hope to go to the Earth Antarctic polar region one day. I missed the most recent trip that my team went on because I was pregnant with my first child. And so someday I hope to go to the Earth's polar regions. And in terms of robotic space exploration, we've discovered a lot of interesting things via the Phoenix mission, and I would love to send more spacecraft back to both the Mars North Polar region and the Mars South Polar region. One of the best things about being a Martian polar explorer is being able to see that location on Mars for the very first time and knowing that I'm one of a very small group of people who has not only made it happen, made those images come down to Earth and be able to be seen by us, but I'm one of the first people who is able to see them as well. So that's a very, very exciting thing. It feels like we're the first ones to step on that terrain on Mars, even though we're only there remotely.